Thank you for coming. Welcome to FIU. I'm Anthony Pereira. I'm the director of the Kimberly Green Latin American Caribbean Center. I appreciate you coming on a busy afternoon, and there's lots of little things happening in Miami. I would first like to thank our partners who made this event possible, not only Jerry Tardieu, our main speaker, but also the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom, the Jack Gordon Institute for Public Policy, and Pay Cargo Incorporated have all been partners in putting this thing together. And so welcome. I want to first present the panel and then just let Jerry begin. We're here today to talk about something which is not necessarily a top priority of US foreign policy. I think it's fair to say, without exaggeration. It's not always the center of media attention because of all the other things that are going on in the world, but it's something that's very dear to our hearts, that's very important for LACC, for FIU, for the community that's here. I think by coming you've expressed your interest in this topic. And Mr. Jerry Tardieu was a member of Parliament. He won his election in 2015. He did a lot in his freshman year. He's been a businessman, several companies. Royal Oasis Hotel is one of his projects. He graduated from Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government with a master's degree. He has several books, including one which I have in my office, The Final Battle for the Constitution, about the reform of the Constitution. He launched a new political party, En Avant, and he was vice president of Haiti's Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the 1990s. I'm getting caught in biographies of everyone because they're very accomplished. To say everything what they've done would take far too long. On Zoom, we have Georges Fauriol, who's a senior associate at the CSIS think tank in Washington, fellow of the Caribbean Policy Consortium, think tank Haiti steering group member, in partnership with the University of Quisqueya in Haiti and Inter-American Dialogue. He's also a senior advisor of the U.S. Institute for Peace. He's widely published in Foreign Affairs, Polity, Global Americans, other publications on the Caribbean, on U.S. foreign policy and democratization. He has an MA and PhD in international relations from the University of Pennsylvania. And looking at Frandley, I'm just remembering that I forgot what the key partner in all of this, which is Island TV, and Tamara Rodriguez. Thank you for also making this possible. And Mr. Frandley Julien is a journalist with Island TV. He's a former Miami-Dade prosecutor. He's also a lawyer practicing criminal defense, immigration, personal injury, and family law. He's written a lot on the notion of social contract in Haiti. He's been a member of a fact-finding mission at the United States Congress, State Department, Pentagon. He's made numerous media appearances, and he has been writing recently about defining transnational ways in which the Haitian diaspora can contribute to progress and democracy in Haiti. So thank you in advance to the very distinguished members of the panel. And we're going to have Mr. Tardieu speak, then commentary by Mr. Fauriol, and then commentary by Frandley Julien, and of course, all importantly, opening it up for questions and comments from all of you. So thanks for coming, and Mr. Tardieu, it's your time on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Pereira. I would like to thank Florida International University, especially the school's Kimberly Green Latin American and Caribbean Center, for inviting me to speak on campus today. The theme of today's conversation is important and timely. Haiti today, the political stalemate, the challenges, and the way forward. It's an honor to have Dr. Fauriol and Mr. Frandley Julien as discussants in today's panel. I consider Dr. Fauriol to be not only a prominent scholar and thinker, but also a trustworthy expert on Haiti and a specialist of Latin American and Caribbean affairs. Mr. Frandley Julien is a renowned and successful attorney in Florida. He is a community leader whose op-eds have been published by no less than the Miami Herald, the Sun Sentinel, and even the Jamaica Observer. When it comes to Haiti, these two gentlemen seem to always get it right. And that's a quality to have. For having listened to so many people outside of Haiti talk about Haiti, I have to say that it's very refreshing and good to make sure that those talking about Haiti know that what they're talking about. And those two gentlemen get it right. Of course, allow me to extend my gratitude to Professor Pereira. He's the director of the Kimberly Green Latin American and Caribbean Center, and whose leadership has helped to establish this center as one of the largest, most dynamic, and impactful regional studies center in the world. Thank you very much, Professor. I will divide my presentation today in 3 parts. In the first part, I will talk about Haiti today. Where are we? In the second part, I will address the reasons why there is a political stalemate. And last but not least, in the third part, I will go over the main challenges facing Haiti and the international community and the best way forward. What's going on today in Haiti? Haiti is simply facing the worst crisis of its existence. A multifaceted crisis to an extent that we have never had before. An institutional, legal, constitutional crisis, but also a social, economic, and political crisis. And on top of that, Haiti is certainly facing a terrible humanitarian and security crisis. My dear friends, Haiti's crisis is a total one. Total because Haiti today is a constitutional desert, a textbook case of a failed state and a botched democracy. As we speak, there's not one elected official in Haiti. Not an elected president, not an elected mayor, not an elected congressman, not an elected senator. The economy is in limbo. Businesses are closing their doors. Inflation is at a record high. So is unemployment. All signals are red. Red as the color of blood. As the situation in Haiti is an awful bloody mess, with brutal gangs controlling the capital and reigning with terror. With impunity, they kill, kidnap, extort, and rob. The police are passive and often outgunned. The judicial system is weak. In the past 5 years, and I'm saying 5 years, Haiti has descended into a state of political, economic, and security collapse. Of course, there are some structural and historical reasons for Haiti's descent into chaos. But for the purpose of today's meeting, in an academic setting, I will solely address the short-term reasons. Former President Jovenel Moïse was murdered in 2021. His brutal and unacceptable murder gave place to a constitutional mess as there were no legal provisions to fill the vacuum. A little flashback could help us to better understand. At the time, there was an interim prime minister in charge. There was an appointed prime minister by the president. Neither of these two prime ministers had been ratified by parliament. And the president himself, who appointed them, had also a legitimacy issue since his term was considered to be over when he appointed them. Eventually, with the support of the international community, Dr. Ariel was sworn in as prime minister. Mostly and only on the merit of Article 149 of the Constitution, which gives a prime minister a short-term window of 90 to 120 days to govern and organize elections. The problem is that Today, it's been more than 850 days. And unfortunately, the embattled Prime Minister has not been able to fulfill the main two objectives of the transition: restoring security and organizing elections. It has been 850 days since the Prime Minister has been unable to broker a largely consensual political agreement that would legitimize his government and validate a roadmap towards elections. So far, the only political agreement brokered by Ariel Henry is insufficient. It's not enough. He has to do better, and he knows it. It has been signed by a few political parties and the private sector. And while the Prime Minister has fallen short of reaching an acceptable political compromise, for the past 2 years, security and the economy in Haiti have continued to deteriorate sharply, and Haiti is slowly, and slowly dying. It is within this context that on October 2nd, 2023, the United Nations Security Council voted to authorize a multinational security mission to Haiti. Of course, upon the request of the Haitian government. Kenya has proposed to lead the force and send 1,000 police officers, while additional personnel have been offered by other countries, including Antigua, Bahamas, and Jamaica. The operation will aim at supporting the Haitian police in their fight against the gangs that control Haiti's capital and foster necessary security conditions for long-term stability. However, my friends, although the security component of a mission to Haiti has been vastly talked about, the international community understands the importance of a political agreement between Haitian stakeholders and would not want any operation of a military nature happen without a larger consensus between Haitian actors, and that includes actors in civil society. So far, there has not been an agreement, there has not been an accord, and there is a real political stalemate. My friends, in a few words, this is how we have to understand Haiti today. Now that I have shared with you what the situation is in Haiti today and how we got there, let me get to the second part of my presentation. What's the cause of that political stalemate? Most of you here are either Haitians or Americans interested in Haiti or Americans of Haitian ascendancy, and all of you, for 2 years, have listened to the radio, and not one day there was not a talk about discussions between Haitian political stakeholders. But it's been 2 years and nothing has happened. Why? One would say, Haiti's going down the drain, it's a descent to hell. What's holding the process? What's the dynamic on the table? Why is it that Haitian deciders cannot put Haiti first and try to get a solution? Well, personally, I have been a witness and an actor of these discussions. Long and frustrating discussions to find a breakthrough to the political impasse. I have seen the parties around the table, I have talked to them, I have friends in all parties, but I've seen them radicalize themselves month after month. Those supporting the government and those opposing the government. In fact, my friends, I have seen 3 tendencies emerge from these very difficult negotiations. The first tendency is the one put forward by the political allies of Ariel Henry's government. They support the status quo and stand by the application of the 21st of December Accord, begrudgingly allowing only for minor changes to be made. They're acting as if the ship wasn't sinking, and they're building their war chest. Comfortably installed in the ministries that they control, either directly or indirectly, these political forces shamelessly call on other parties to join them in governing the country while turning a blind eye to their blatant incompetence and abject failure. This radical posture, my friends, is a major obstacle to reach a serious compromise. And that's one of the reasons why we have a political stalemate in Haiti. The second tendency is the one put forward by some opposition parties that are calling for the immediate resignation of Ariel Henry, that they simplistically consider to be the only obstacle to the solution to the crisis. This limited vision fails to take into account the balance of power, of the inevitable difficulties of agreeing on a new governance, and a roadmap of challenging achievables. The reality is much more complicated, as these parties are fundamentally different in terms of values, ideologies, and visions, and they have their own rigid conviction of what to do once the Prime Minister steps down. It's a very difficult situation where nothing is black or white, and there are a lot of gray nuances. But such a radical posture, opposed to the ones supporting Ariel Henry, is also only helping to prolong the Ariel Henry experience. And it's a major obstacle to reach a serious compromise. In fact, in a non-concerted coalition, you could say that these two forces that are opposed are simply playing the game of Ariel Henry and making it easy for him to stay longer and longer in a transition that has lasted already too long. Between these two inflexible and antagonistic tendencies, it has been a dialogue of death, a zero-sum game. And so far, my friends, we are at a standstill because the political discourse on the discussion table has been hijacked by the parties who are not willing to let an inch go on their position. I personally lean towards a third tendency, one that I consider to be more pragmatic, more realistic, and I would say more nationalist. Nationalism being a strong sentiment for one's country. Somewhere in between these two hardline positions, we should be able to find a reasonable compromise that puts Haiti first. I think we badly need a balanced government that inspires trust to the political parties that will compete in next elections. What is a transition about? It's about those governing to inspire trust to society and the actors who are going actually to compete in elections. We cannot have a government formed of ministries controlled by political parties that are going to use the means of the states for a non-level playing field in next elections. This government right now, as it is structured, is controlled managed and governed by the Prime Minister's allies, it cannot inspire trust and confidence. We need a balanced government to restore trust. That's the first objective to follow. That's where we should reach. That's where we have to go to start with. I favor a governance formula inspired by the spirit of the Constitution, because we have left the Constitution since January 2020. I'm always very amused when the press is asking me a question, what do you think about Maria Isabel Salvador's statement that there cannot be a transition within the transition? Well, there has been a transition since January 2020 when Jovenel Moïse then decided not to organize elections, not to renew the parliament. We left the constitutional track. The only way for us to get back to constitutional order is to have elections when elections are held, so that we have legitimate people elected, so we can carry the reforms we need to change Haiti and make things better. I do favor, on one hand, a high council vested with presidential powers, and on the other hand, a national unity government led by the Prime Minister, this one or another, in form of impartial and credible personalities. To me, persons are not yet important. It's the principle of what we want. And what we want is an impartial, balanced governance in order to inspire trust and find a way to restore security and agree on a roadmap to restore security, to appoint an electoral council that is also impartial, to have an electoral law that can bring historic provisions, one of them being the possibility of you in that room to vote in the next elections, like it is a reality for more than 100 countries with important diasporas. My friends, the added value of such an option is that it aims to restore the checks and balances that are fundamental to democratic governance and vital for a legitimate transitional government capable of restoring trust and holding uncontested elections. It has the merit of ending the reign of an omnipotent prime minister accountable only to himself and who combines more power than any previous elected president as head of state, head of government, and Minister of Interior. This option that I'm favoring, that I'm pushing, is a good one, as it rejects the status quo and can put an end to the current experience of an all-powerful prime minister who decides alone. Ultimately, Haiti needs security to be restored, of course, elections when it's possible, but a major economic recovery plan. Too often we talk about politics in Haiti, while the problem is economic. 3 Haitians out of 4 do not have a job, and 7 Haitians out of 10 leave their home in the morning not knowing if they're going to earn enough to eat themselves and bring a plate of food to their children. These, my friends, are what I consider to be the main elements that trigger a political stalemate in Haiti. Let me get to the final and third part of my intervention. It's about the challenges ahead and the best way forward. From the get-go, I would like to say that the 3 main challenges ahead are, of course, to restore security, that's the security front, broker a political agreement, that's the political front, and tackle the humanitarian and economic debacle, that is the economic front. On the political front, What do we do? There's nothing else to do than to keep pushing for a political compromise. We need the largest roundtable possible in Haiti and keep trying to find a reasonable compromise. Given the track record of solutions rushed through by international actors in recent history, it is worthwhile to get it right this time. Ariel Henry's unconstitutional transitional government needs to be granted a mandate from Haiti's political and civil society forces to claim the legitimacy that it lacks. Of course, any responsible leader knows that there cannot be a durable security solution if we don't have that political solution, that compromise. It's impossible. And given repeated efforts from CARICOM and other entities that includes intermediate, how do we go from there while there is a total stalemate? My position is now that the moral forces of Haiti have to step up to the plate. I have read a note from the Catholic Church of Bishop Pierre-Henri Dumas. That not only engages him as a bishop, but it was a good note, appealing to Haiti's elites, social, political, economic, to get together and try to push for a breakthrough. I think the Catholic Church has to step up to the plate and should not leave it to Monsieur Dumas to be the only one talking about what has to be done. And I think they can join forces with other moral forces. And why not the eminent persons of CARICOM who are trying to mediate and facilitate a discussion between the political stakeholders for a political conference that would give us a last chance to find a breakthrough. On the security front, now that we are done with the political front, we need to find the right remedy to combat gangs and restore peace and normalcy in Haiti. The reality is that Haiti will certainly have a very difficult time to go it alone. But now what's more important is to determine how the international community can best assist the national police to restore law and order. We are not talking here about an occupation or an invasion or anything of that sort. It would be foolish to even refer to what's needed as these operations. We are talking about a high-level cooperation between Haiti and its international partners in order to save the Haitian people from the grip of gangs, in order to save a nation that is drawing. That's what it's all about, period. However, missing at the table, where the security plan for Haiti is prepared, is our civil society and important local players. Their input is important because Haitians concerned at first hand need to appropriate the security plan for Haiti, both short and long term. Such involvement will ensure the success of a security plan for Haiti. For the mission to be an opportunity for Haiti, Haitians have to be engaged and involved, which has not always been the case in past missions. Regarding the Kenyan force to be deployed in Haiti, there are three currents of thoughts in Haiti. The first current is that Haiti quickly, urgently, massively needs an international assistance ASAP. And 1,000 troops is not enough. In 2004, there were 20,000. Anything short of a robust support to the Haitian National Police to tackle insecurity could be considered as an act of betrayal to the Haitian people who are currently on the precipice of civil war, which will result in unspeakable atrocities an intolerable number of deaths. From the international community, if they were to look away, they would be one day accused of non-assistance to people in danger. That's a first current of thought. There is a second current of thought, which is a more skeptical one. In good faith, many people are against all forms of foreign intervention in Haiti on the pretext that past ones have not worked. We must say that the results of UN missions for the past 15 years at a cost of $10 billion on the field of security and justice can render anyone perplexed. There is an argument valid enough to be made here. That's why I'm saying in good faith. In fact, skepticism of this current of thoughts is often fueled also by the question about the level of preparedness of the mission and the lack of visibility in terms on the terms of reference. And sometimes you don't have to be very good in mathematics. But when there are numbers being thrown around, like $400 or $600 million, some people are saying, well, maybe if the police had this kind of money, maybe they would be able to do a better job than they're doing right now. So, the second current of thought is real among the Haitian people in here in the diaspora. There is a third one. Many people who understand that there needs to be some sort of an international assistance to Haiti that cannot go it alone, think that without a political solution, any support to the Haitian police would be a support to the Haitian government. And that is not well perceived by many people in Haiti and in the diaspora. Our view is that as long as a security mission in Haiti works hand in hand with Haitian authorities, by that I mean authorities issued from a political compromise, as long as the interests of Haiti are being respected, as long as Haiti is always first on the table of discussion, as long as the ultimate goal is to restore security to a nation where we all now live like rats. We live in holes, and we get out of these holes just to try to get a slice of cheese wherever we can, and quickly go back to the hole. I understand that for many of you who live here in Florida, the image might be a little strange, maybe excessive, but I'm telling you, that's the reality. If your child leaves home, until he or she comes back, you don't know if he or she is coming back. When you ride in the streets of Port-au-Prince, every motorcycle driving by you is a problem. You see in your compatriots, your brothers and sisters, someone who might want to harm you, just because you know that out there you are so vulnerable. Just because out there you are vulnerable. Just because when you leave your house in Haiti, you have one chance out of 3 not to return safely. You can die or you can be kidnapped. This is what we're living in Haiti. And at the end of the day, besides the numbers, besides the discussions, political compromise, first tendency, second tendency, the radicals on the table on both sides. At the end of the day, what matters is that we are suffering as a people, and we need to find a solution to restore security in Haiti. Period. On the economic front, my friends, there is also an urgent need to support Haiti. The country needs immediate humanitarian relief, but most importantly, a major economic recovery plan. Some would even suggest a Marshall Plan for Haiti. The economic picture is grim, restoring security is important, but creating the kind of environment conducive to economic investment and massive job creations is even more important. I will stop there because I do believe that in this format of activities, the discussions and the debate are much more enjoyable, much better than having to listen to someone who has obviously been talking too much this afternoon. Thank you very much for your attention. Looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Georges, I know you have our deadline at 5:30, so if you could provide us with some of your comments, they'd be gratefully received.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Pereira. Thank you, Tony, for this opportunity to join FIU. And it's really timely conversations with Jerry Tardieu. Timely not only because of who Jerry Tardieu is, but timely in terms of the, I think, more public discussion and hopefully debate about responding in an effective way to Haiti's ongoing crisis. As noted at the beginning of the program in the introductions, Mr. Tardieu has been engaged in his country's public space, politics, and economics notably, and for quite a while, but also in some ways, as we just heard, I think is one of those rare cases where he also anchors thinking in practical, timely, substantive terms of reference. In other words, that there is substance to what he has to say, and he does so in a kind of a practical way to generate a discussion, a constructive discussion about key issues and hopefully leading up to resolutions. The talk he just provided confirms, I think, a lot of these characteristics, and there's certainly a lot to talk about, so let me just pick a few ideas here based on his presentation. Certainly Mr. Tardieu's synthesizing of what is Haiti's dismal landscape, analyzing in very conceptual terms, actually, the complex causes of the ongoing political stalemate, without getting lost in some of the technical, constitutional, historical debates points, and concluding with what he terms the three main challenges moving forward out of the crisis, but also, in fact, I think in doing so, hinting at, maybe more than hinting, at the sequencing of some of those three challenges in terms of what needs to be addressed first in order to be able to move forward out of the crisis. And in fact, this leads to the need to develop a political consensus without which not much ultimately constructive can really happen. Mr. Tardieu certainly does not mince his words in all of this, particularly in his assessment of Haiti today. Rather colorful language. Haiti's crisis is a total one. I think that's accurate. The situation in Haiti is a bloody mess. Kind of synthesizes in two words in some ways. It also characterizes a little bit the depth of the human crisis that the country faces today. And later in his talk, towards the end, with this rather jarring imagery of Haitians as rats coming out of their holes to try to find a piece of cheese somewhere. I think this is more than just a caricature. This is, I think, suggests, I think, in his mind, and should suggest to anyone listening to him, that this is this is really a serious and fundamentally a fundamental problem for the country's survivability. Despite all of its creative resources, very creative and energetic civil society, a diverse political community, although one that doesn't seem to be able to generate a political consensus out of the current crisis. When his analysis turns towards the causes of the ongoing stalemate, Mr. Tardieu carefully distinguishes with what I agree are essentially three strands of ongoing thinking, which explain the political stalemate. The status quo, most closely associated with the current interim government of Ms. Fauriol, interim prime minister. A second strand or tendency, which I would characterize basically as the hardliners, and I assume that Mr. Tardieu here is referring in part to the people behind the Montana Accord and others associated with that constituency, whose operating, negotiating position entails, first and foremost, the dismissal of the interim prime minister as kind of the initial negotiating position. That obviously hasn't been very successful over the last 2 years as a negotiating position. There's a third strand, the tendency that Mr. Tardieu associates himself with and is characterized as trying to find and being able to find a more reasonable compromise towards what he describes as a balanced government, one that is sort of balanced between what is a high council or high transition council with presidential or executive authority, as well as a sort of a national or consensus government that could be led or would be led by the prime minister. The question, which I think maybe needs to be clarified, is where does the interim prime minister fit into this particular picture? My sense, I think what he's alluding to is that the interim prime minister is there at the beginning of this process and sort of elegantly fades out, particularly as we get closer to an electoral calendar. The part that I want to try to focus on maybe more narrowly in these few minutes is I think the skepticism that I detected in this presentation to what appear to be sort of international mediation efforts. It appears to be skeptical about the possible outcome, positive outcome of CARICOM's eminent persons group mediation efforts. They have recently issued what amounts to a roadmap of a transitional governance, which appears to overlap to some degree, I think, with Mr. Tardieu's notion of a balanced governance situation. So I think the recommendation to have the Episcopal Conference of the Catholic Church more engaged in this process is this sort of a combination, if you will, with ongoing international CARICOM-led mediation efforts, or is this in effect an effort that parallels or duplicates or replaces the ongoing eminence persons group from CARICOM? Or is this in effect, which is maybe what he's alluding to, plan B if everything else fails? I think that needs to be clarified. From my perspective, I'm not entirely convinced yet that the CARICOM effort has failed. But Mr. Tardieu, being closer to the scene, his insight certainly is valuable in this regard. Finally, a comment on the main challenges ahead, where he concludes his talk, places a lot of effort, for the need, if you will, to broker a political consensus agreement as a precursor, in effect, to addressing the security situation. I think this is an important issue, is what comes first. You could potentially argue that they need to be simultaneous, but in effect, as a practical matter, this becomes an operational question of significance in connection with the possible deployment of an international security force, at this point led by Kenyan deployment sometime in early 2024, if there are no other political and logistical delays, including political delays in Kenya itself. And as a practical problem, whether it's the Kenyans and others, the deployment of an international security response is going to depend, very much dependent, on a reliable and politically sustainable Haitian governmental partner. One that is based on the Haitian political consensus, and as a practical matter, and we just heard Mr. Tardieu describe that in some detail, this consensus clearly does not exist now. But this is a key issue, and if I'm going to be playing, if you will, from the perspective of the international actor here, including the Kenyans, this becomes an important question as to whether they are willing to be engaged in an environment where they're not entirely sure how reliable, how sustainable, how politically strong their Haitian governmental partner really is at this point. There's a lot really in this presentation, but I thought those would be the kind of the major issue which I would want to focus on. There's another panelist who I think has a maybe a set of other perspectives, but let me stop here in terms of this very, I think, important presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Frandley?
I try to be brief. I know we're running out of time. I remember in 1986, I think I was 10, when July left. And what did we have in terms of the political class? Leslie Maniga, Hubert de Ronskey, Marc Bazin, Willie Theodore. And as a young, I was 10, and I was so proud because the first election, they had their platform published in Creole and French, and you had political debate, and we thought that this country was going to take off, right? And today I'm listening to you, Jerry, and I said to myself, we have very few people in politics today who can offer something substantial in terms of idea. We may disagree on certain points, but today Haiti is at its lowest at all levels. And that allows me, I remember that you made the point about those who are opposed to the Kenyan nation. This is something that I struggle with as a patriot. But this morning again, I had a conversation with one of the most respected former police chief in Haiti. For those who don't know, Haiti does not have municipal police like here. We have a national police. And I spoke with the guy. I said, man, I'm going to go to this presentation and I want to have your insight. I have one question for you. Do you think we can get out of this alone, on our own? And the answer was no. And this was not the first time that I had such a conversation with someone whose judgment I would trust on the subject. So when people tell me that we heard about the $200 million that will be going to the Kenyan mission, this money should have gone to the national police, I call fallacy. It's a fallacy, and I'm going to tell you why. In July of 2021, Jovenel Moïse, the president of the country, was assassinated in his bedroom. Anybody, any president, I think any president can be assassinated, but the guy was assassinated in his bedroom. Among his security detail, not one was injured. Can you imagine that a president is assassinated in his bedroom and no one among his security detail is injured? No amount of money would have saved Jovenel Moïse. The crisis is deeper than money. Within the police, you have a group, until recently they were pretty active, called Phantom 509. And this is a group that was again within the police, and they would hit the ground and they would get into public buildings, they start disturbing everything. Until today, I think they're still around. Nothing happened to them. Several people who've been kidnapped in Haiti will tell you that they were kidnapped by police officers. Okay? So I think we need to be very careful resorting to such fallacies when we talk about Haiti. The crisis is not a question of money, it is way deeper than that. Now, I would like to make a few comments on the situation in general. It's one of, and you'll see how my comments dovetail with what you just said, Jerry. The situation in Haiti is one of helplessness. When you talk to people on the ground, they tell you, at this point, I'm willing to try anything. Because what we have here today cannot continue. And this is where I get to your three positions. You have people of good faith in Haiti, you say, no. We've seen occupation, we've seen military intervention, foreign intervention before. They did not solve the problem. No, we don't want it. You have those who say, you know what? Absolutely, we want it yet, like yesterday. And you have a third group that is cautiously optimistic. And this is where I find myself. And I see the strength of foreign intervention in Haiti. We know the results. They did not lead to anything serious in Haiti. You know, no impact, no real impact. We're still dealing with what we're dealing with. But I said to myself, are we so dumb as a nation so as to be unable to draw the necessary lessons from the past so that we can build something better this time around, starting with the premise that we already know that we cannot get out on our own. I think this is the question the diaspora need to answer, to provide an answer to. Are we so dumb as a nation that we cannot grasp the lessons of the past so that to make this one better? Now, I have a question for you. This is the question. Ariel was there. We had a panel with Sébastien Carrière when he was Canada's ambassador to Haiti, came to the United States, and I asked him this question. It's going to be an unfair question, I warn you.
There's no unfair questions.
If Ariel Henry were to die tomorrow morning, what will happen to Haiti?
Okay. How do
Go ahead and respond to anything that George
okay. All right.
brought up.
So I will be very careful in my answers so that the headline tomorrow is that Jerry Tardieu sees Ariel Henry dead in the next 5 days. So, because I have to go back down there, you're going back to Kendall. I mean, I'm going to shock a few people by saying what I'm going to say. He better not die.
Amen.
And even for the people who hate him the most, Haiti today is a constitutional disorder. There is no legal provision to fill the presidential vacuum in Haiti. We have no other option than to find a round table and decide together how we're going to exit this mess. And it will take for some people to do some sacrifice. I'm not totally at ease with the option that will help us to solve the crisis. But at this point, we need to put Haiti first. It will never be a win-win situation. So therefore, your question allows me the possibility to highlight once again the fact that Haiti has derailed from the constitutional track, and there is no legal provision to fill a vacuum at the executive level of Haiti. So a vacuum on top of another vacuum is going to create a bigger vacuum. And what's at stake right now, Frandley, just like in any transition in Haiti, is a power grab. We're talking about political actors that are trying to position themselves to win next elections. So it's a power grab, and everybody is trying to position themselves. Most of the political parties supporting the Prime Minister currently, they are happy with the way things are going. They are building their war chest, and they have the means of the states to compete against me, a political leader, or my candidates at any level who do not have access to the means of the states. So this is why political actors need a level playing field to go in next elections, so that a balanced executive needs to inspire trust so that we can move forward. So thank you very much for your question. I don't know if you're satisfied with the answer.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I have another question. You referred to the moral forces of Haiti, right? You even mentioned the Catholic Church. Do you think, or don't you think, the moral forces in Haiti are really in the minority today? And let me illustrate. Michel Martelly made a career as a cross-dresser, right? And you see how many people supported him. We have a guy who just got to Haiti after serving a sentence, after pleading guilty to drug trafficking. Now he's being held as the country's savior. You have a prosecutor who's been killing people on video lately, and everybody, most people in Haiti today, want him to be president. Speaking of the Catholic Church, I remember when Martelly was president, one of the bishops was publicly supporting him, right? So don't you think the moral forces in Haiti today are in the minority?
Well, here's what I would say. I kind of touched on that in the beginning of my intervention. Haiti now is a textbook case of a failed state. And when I mean failed state, it's not only the failure of institutions or public institutions. I say that the crisis is multifaceted. It's economic, it's social, it's political, it's institutional, it's constitutional, it's social, but it's also moral. In other words, we're talking about a society that is slowly falling. And it's a free fall. We don't know how deep we will go. So, unfortunately, Frandley, I've learned one thing in Haiti, and maybe you're going to have to help me to do that because I don't know how to translate that into English. J'ai appris à ne pas faire la fine bouche. Comment on dit ça en anglais?
I've learned not to make the best the enemy of the good.
Thank you. When anglais mon j'aime alou,
Perfect.
J'ai appris une chose en Haïti. Je ne fais plus la fine bouche because every time you think you've hit the bottom of the hole, we have just started digging. And I cannot import people from other nations to come and constitute Haiti's society. We're going to have to deal with Haiti the way it is right now, knowing that these problems exist, and we'll do whatever we can to think about a different Haiti with organized sectors of society much more involved, engaged, and positive than those that we have right now. But it's going to be quite a challenge.
All right, I think we're going to open the floor.
Yes, let's take a round of questions for Jerry and have the mic.
Hi, my name is Sandra St. Hilaire. I am a fan of Jerry, but I have a comment to make towards two statements that you made, and then I have a question for him. So one of the statements you made is that Haiti is in dire need of an intervention. And instead of saying we're going to look to our diaspora, like someone like Pétion-Ville Julien, who's an attorney, people young like myself who was born in Haiti but raised in the U.S., and a lot more others who has the ability to do those things, why would you inquire from other countries and not within the community that loves Haiti, that are capable, and that wants to help, right? And to the second comment I want to make, and I think Jerry can kind of tie into that, is the statement that the Haiti's moral abilities is going down. That's true. But the reason why is because the people don't have the basic necessities of life. They don't have education, they don't have economic structure, they don't have a functioning government, and so many other things. So for Jerry and you guys could answer, if the moral compass, it's what's the problem, how do you fix it in a public way, instead of saying, oh, these people are, rats or whatever else.
Oh, yes, you can pass it on, ask your question. So I think go ahead.
So mine is kind of similar to that question right there, but this is probably like a very American type of question. And I know we mentioned earlier that, I know that we mentioned earlier about having intervention with military outside of Haiti and things like that. My question is, what exactly would that look like and how long? I know we mentioned the Marshall Plan, but I believe certain policies should be in place for a certain amount of time because it cannot be helpful for a certain extent, but when it's overstated its time, there has been, even in America, certain policy that's overstated its time has been proven to be a detriment. So how would that look like with international intervention in terms of length of time and also the process about basically incorporating that to Haiti's system to better set them on the right track politically and even with law enforcement, things like that as well.
Thank you. And I think there's two right.
Jay, you mentioned the stalemate, and I think the professor acknowledged also. But it bewildered me that it's appear that we ignore the big elephant in the room. It's my mind that the international community has contributed to the stalemate. Before the death of Jovenel, there were the Friends of Haiti, US, Canada, and France, and we have not heard about them. And it's appeared that they all have stepped away or disappeared in a way to try to recruit a nation like Kenya that's never been engaged in such activities, and with a limited number of people, and we expect them to go find ISO in the hallways of Vitellum, and just really to an expectation that Haiti would be rebuilt by those foreign forces. Whereas, in my mind, I believe that an investment in the institution of Haiti and the people, as you mentioned, the Marshall Plan, where they could have equipment, infrastructure, recruitment and training would stabilize the country. So why we so blind to the fact that the past and we have seen the result, then why repeating the same mistake and hope that we do something, we get a different result this time?
Thanks. Sir, I don't have the mic, just pass it on this way.
Jerry, first I want to thank you for coming here and have the courage to fight. I want to thank you for your courage so you can stand up for what's left of Haiti. And I think that this gentleman they all address the same thing. I agree with him about the elephant in the room. I mean, of course, who can deny the statement that you made about Maria, whatever her name is, who represents the UN? Then we have a core group, And then we have other foreign legacies which are involved in Haiti. Now, I'm not going to be naive enough to say that, well, I'm a nationalist, I don't want foreigners to come in Haiti, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Foreigners are already present in Haiti. As a matter of fact, there were Colombians that were arrested in the execution, assassination of Mr. Julien. So we cannot be blind to say that, oh, we don't want foreigners, oh, we want them. What we need to have is the right dialogue with the foreigners, with the Congo, with Binu, with the other one. I'm going to tell you what I feel. I was 16 years old in 1970 when I went to the American Embassy in order for me to get my green card. At that time, the wall of the American Embassy was 4 feet. They were in Bicentennial. At that time, there was one Marine from, he had a ton. Now the American Embassy is behind compound, hiding inside the bar, and basically, missionaries have been kidnapped. Americans have been kidnapped. Haitian American, oh, they love them. They bring the best money for the guy. But the bottom line is that we have a situation right now that we cannot deny foreign intervention. We're already there. Now, what we're going to do as civil society to establish a dialogue, an honest dialogue. I heard Mr. Fauriol when he said clearly that when the Kenyans come in, who they going to talk to? Perhaps there are elements in Haiti which are in power, and they are part of the problem. Who's going to take care of them? I believe that a foreign force that comes in Haiti doesn't come with the judicial, I'm talking about judges to assist them. For example, the ULCC report that identified crooks, which were former senators. How are you going to touch them if you don't have a judicial to assist them? There have been assistance programs, judicial assistance programs, already established by the UN in Salvador and Mexico. Mixed result, but better than none. Are we going to continue to have prosecutors come to Haiti to arrest people, bring them here to justice? At the end of it, that means that we have no countries anymore.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Député Jerry Tardieu, Frandley, and George Fauriol. My name is Monique Liska. I am with the monitoring office of the Montana Accord. I wanted to say a couple of things. One of them is something that I thought was missing from Mr. Tardieu's analysis. It is that the current situation in Haiti is a political construct in terms of we are not only talking about a failed state, we are talking about a criminal regime that has been in power now for 12 years. And I think that is important to say, because it is not as simple as it is a failed state. This is something that was constructed, that was built, and I think it is important. So you have the economic elite, you have a political elite that are, just criminal. It's a criminal regime, and it has been that since 2011. And I think one needs to have that as a backdrop. Whatever analysis that you do in the governance system of Haiti, you have to look at that. And I think that is an important point. And which brings me also to the three tendencies that you have. First of all, I do take issue with your use of the word nationalism with the third tendency. I don't like that, and if I remember Bazin that you talked about, a friend, they used to say that nobody has a license, a patent, on nationalism. So I don't like to use the word nationalism on, this is the position that one side has or the other. I also take issue with being, the Montana Accord being called hardliners. in a way that what I want to say is that having a criminal governance system for the last 12 years, what the Montana Accord has done in the Accord of the 30th of August 2021 was to set up a kind of new governance model that would be a transition of 2 years that would build confidence enough so that you could have credible elections and you could move things forward. And I think one of the things that Monsieur Tardieu has said is that Ariel Henry, who has been there for 2 years and a half, I think that's one of the first things that you said, has been unable to restore security. As a matter of fact, not only has he been unable to restore security, security has worsened under Ariel Henry. So it's not even a question of being unable, it's a question of being able to bring it to the worst possible that it can come. And the second part was he has not been able to organize elections. And he can't do that until he has a political accord. So in terms of the three tendencies that you're talking about, supporting the status quo, I totally agree with you. In terms of Ariel Henry's allies, that's what it's all about. It's they're building their war chest so they can go to elections, and that is the reason they want him to stay in power so that they can go to elections with him. So I think the question of can you have credible elections with Ariel Henry is a question I would like to ask you. That is the first one. And secondly, with the fact that he has worsened security, what guarantees can one have that it can be made better for anybody to go to elections? Because if you remember 1991, about 90% of Haitians, the electorate, went to elections. With Jovenel Moïse, 2016, you had about 18%. So the question is not only a question of security, the question also is a question of confidence in the system, trust in the system, which brings me then to my conclusion with what the gentleman said above, the party that is not mentioned, which is mostly the United States. We could talk about core group. Core group, you know, has changed their name now. They are no longer called core group, but whatever it is, the Americans are the one, they are the ones who are controlling governance in Haiti today. They back up Ariel Henry, they put Ariel Henry there and they back him up. So CARICOM is there negotiating for the Americans. So again, you have a trust issue with CARICOM. So I would like for you to, because you've been there, I think you went to Kingston, you've been there in the meetings with CARICOM, there is a serious trust issue with CARICOM.
Thanks for the questions. If I could prevail on the audience. I'm just conscious that Georges has to leave very soon. Is it okay to bring him in and then carry on with the mic? Georges, would you like to come in?
Just maybe a quick question, which actually dovetails with what Monique was just concluded her comments on, which is CARICOM's mediation efforts. And I wanted to go back to that with Jerry, which is what is this assessment, which in his
Oh yeah, that was a question. So how do you do that? There are many questions in the air.
Questions, if you would you like to respond briefly to
Okay, so you want to go on?
Let me go quickly because I only have one question.
So this one poser ou on va poser une question? Ah ok.
So you said that you spoke to the national coordinator for peace. He suggested to have outside immigration. So my question is two parts. instead of international intervention from Kenya or whoever else.
I remember the question.
Why not?
Yeah.
Diaspora.
Yeah.
And second, why is he in a position if he feels that he's not comfortable to do it with the people that he serves? So that was.
Okay, so here's the thing. Ronald here is a distinguished veteran, right? But he will tell you that he can serve Haiti in different forums. A mission right now is not the right forum for Ronald. He will tell you as much. Now, when you are trying to mobilize a force to go to a foreign country, if you were to do it here, I cannot just pick Ronald and a bunch of US veterans, take them to Haiti. When they come back, they're going straight to jail. Now, one thing that I think is offering us an opportunity to do better than past times with the Kenya mission is because it is not a military mission, it's a police mission. And we may differ on that, and I'm going to tell you, one issue we had with past US missions is the question of sovereignty, immunity. We have two types of immunity: qualified immunity, basically depending on what happened, and you have sovereign immunity. One of the issues we've had with the United States, and don't get me started on the United States, this is the subject of another debate. One of the issues we have with the United States is that the court system in the United States has refused to hold the United States and the UN accountable. And one effort I know that is underway today is for Haitians from the diaspora to be involved in the definition of the Kenya mission, to make sure that they don't have sovereign immunity. That if something happens in Haiti that is bad, that we can hold them accountable. And this is why I think I respect everybody's opinion. Let me tell you, Monique is a friend. She's with the Montana group. I have the utmost respect for them, their courage, the fact that they came up with the idea of a Haitian-led solution. This is where I am. We may have our differences too, but I think that this is not one of the cases where you would use the diaspora. Practically, it is impossible. Now, quickly, regarding the conversation I had a conversation with a former chief of police, and what he told me, and I can tell you as an immigration attorney, the police force has lost a lot of members lately. Several thousand members with the Biden program. And morale is at its lowest in Haiti right now. And one of the problems, he told me, they're trying to prevent right now in the event of the Kenyan deployment is the articulation between the police, the Haiti police, the Haitian police, and the Kenyan police officers, because there's a lot of frustration on the force in Haiti. They need to prepare the Haitian police officers so that they can get the best out of it.
Very good. So let me start with Matsu's question about the big elephant in the room. I see where you come from, but I have my reserves on your posture, and I'm going to tell you why. Today, when you talk about a health program in Haiti, most of it is thought of, written, and financed by OMS openly and assumed. When you talk about education, UNICEF, the national police is financed by the United States, Canada, and France at 80%. We are a nation that is dependent on foreign money in very strategic sectors. That's what we are. We need to work towards a nation that is self-sustainable and autonomous and sovereign. We're not there yet. The big elephant in the room, everybody knows. We see it every day. It's in all our program. That's on one hand. But where I have a disagreement with Monsieur, I always feel very uncomfortable when we try or we don't assume the responsibility of our failures ourselves. I think it's too easy to blame it on the foreigner. Because at the end of the day, we have not been able to manage our country in a way that today his citizens can live free. In a way that a young kid from the northern part of Haiti can have the same chances as a kid raised in Port-au-Prince. We have not been able ourselves to manage our country in a way that this country is simply a country where its citizens can live in peace. I mean, that's our failure first. At the end of the day, our prime ministers are Haitians, our presidents are Haitians, our ministers are Haitians, our custom directors are Haitians, our congressmen are Haitians, our senators are Haitians. Now, are they controlled by the finance, money finance? I don't even want to go there. The problem in Haiti lies in the inability of the Haitian elites to properly rule this country. Not that I don't understand where you come from, because at the end of the day, it's a shared responsibility. Why? It's a shared responsibility because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for the Biden program, we would not be short 2,500 policemen. That's what it is. At the end of the day, most of the policemen left with the Biden program. You have to know that. So it's a shared responsibility. If the United Nations today has failed in Haiti, it's not in part maybe for the Haitians, but it's a shared responsibility. 15 years, $10 billion invested in security and justice, and that's what we have to show for. Obviously, there's a shared responsibility. But that shared responsibility is so minimal compared to the grand responsibility of Haitians that I'm not willing to take it into consideration, and I'm willing to take the bullet and say, we have failed, mea culpa. Now, having said so, it's about time that Haitians elect other leaders. It's about time that we have leaders that can step up to the plate and change the game. It might take a while, but I'm sure that we will get there. So that's for the big elephant in the room. So for Monique Liska, first of all, let me praise Monique Liska for her courage, her ideas, her strength, her passion. She's an engaged voice for Haiti and someone that I've been looking up to for a long time. Congratulations for your engagement. We need that. We need that. And your presence here today is also a sign of engagement, because you could have been anywhere. It's a weekday, it's a traffic time, and you're there to talk about Haiti. So you're concerned, and I appreciate that. Now, obviously, there is here's how I would try to answer to your question. I have been personally engaged in the discussions in Haiti, and I'm still. Every time there will be a discussion about Haiti that will put Haiti at the heart of the matter, I will be around the table. Whether I'm being invited by an international entity or a national one, as long as it is a serious one, I will be there, and my position will not change. Yes, there is a first tendency on which we agree, the holders of the statu quo. Now, I find no other word to label, I would say, the Montana's position on the table, is that they have hardened their position in a way that wasn't the case a few months ago. I have spent 10 days, maybe 8 days, from morning 8 o'clock until 5 p.m. on a table with 6 or 7 political stakeholders. That includes the Prime Minister and the Secretary General of the Primature. That includes the Montana. And that includes Anava from Inavalas, and there were also 2 representatives of the Forini. So we're talking about 6 or 7 stakeholders on the table. Madame Kliska, trust me, I have lived firsthand these very difficult discussions between the Prime Minister on one hand and the Montana group on the other hand. I was right there in the middle, trying to see where we could find some sort of a common ground. And I must say that for 4 or 5 days, I felt that the Montana group was aligned with the third tendency that I'm praising. Can we have credible election with Ariel Henry? At the end of the day, Ariel Henry to me right now is secondary as a person. What I want us to agree about is the governance structure of the transition. What is it going to be? Is it going to be like we are right now, a prime minister that decides on everything? The last king we had in Haiti was Henri Christophe. That's way past. Or are we going to have a balanced government where Ariel Henry or Frandley Julien or Maître Julien or Sandra Saint-Hilaire, whoever is there, is going to have to abide by the rules that we would have agreed upon on a political agreement that would make provision for, on one hand, a council with presidential attribution, because we have to stay close to the spirit of the Constitution. And on the other hand, an impartial government. And the ministers are not going to be chosen just like that. We need to have a profile of the type of people we want to run the transition. Comment dire integrity, responsible, honest, impartial. I'm not saying even objective. It's difficult to be. Well, yeah. I mean, it's to me, that's what's the person is not important. It's the structure. And quite frankly, Madame Kliska, if we are even to push further this thinking, I would want Ariel Henry out of the government. There would be 4 ways of doing this. The first one would be for him to resign. He's not going to do that. Do you agree on that? The second would be un coup d'etat, by force. In other words, today, what do we have? The police is on shady ground right now, and I don't think that those factions in the police that could do a coup would be very recommendable persons. The gangs, the gang leaders, they're the ones who have the money and the guns. I don't think it's a good solution either. So by force, by military force, would be the second option. I don't think it's a good one. There's a third one. maybe a popular protest, just like the Arab Spring, where the people take to the streets. But here's the problem, Madame Kiska. In Haiti, the Haitian people are so fed up with the Haitian politicians that no one is going to take on the streets for anybody. That even includes me. We can cut that part away. So that's the third option, Madame Bilia. What's left? What's left is an intelligent, audacious strategy by which we'll be talking to all of those who support the Prime Minister, including in the international community, to tell them, look, we need an executive equilibrium, we need a balanced government in order to set up a roadmap that would include, one, restore security, which is the number one demand in Haiti. But restore security means also that civil society, political parties, and local actors be engaged in the discussion with the international community so together we can agree on how to bring peace to Haiti. And if that means that we have forces from other countries that come and help, as long as we are involved in the terms of reference, why not? We have liberated most of South America. We have liberated Venezuela when they had a problem. We have helped the United States. Haiti was there throughout history to help whenever other countries needed. I would have no problem as long as you and I agree on the terms that you come and help me, because I have people dying in Haiti. So, security. Second, obviously, we need to go to election. How do we do that? We need an electoral council. Not what Ariel is proposing. Because what he's proposing is 20 names where they would agree with the sectors, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a rigged system. We need to have profiles, Madam President. What are the kind of people you want in an immaculate electoral council? And these profiles, yes, we have 9 sectors that will choose 9 personalities, but based on certain profiles. Because the Catholic Church might choose Frandley Julien, and it doesn't fit the profile. So exactly, so there needs to be another level of appreciation. So we need an immaculate, sorry for the word, it's a little bit excessive, electoral council. And pristine, yes, pristine. We need also a new electoral law. I've said it before, that new electoral law should consider you. Madame Kiska said there was 18% participation on last elections. You were right, that's exactly the number. Less than 2 Haitians went to the poll, and less than 500,000 people voted for the former president of Haiti. You cannot beat a democracy with these numbers. Yes, we need people to go to the polls. And that starts with the credibility of the process. And the electoral law will allow you, millions of Haitian Americans, to vote. I think, we have not talked about it, that throughout the process, we might need to reform the Constitution. Not a big reform. But definitely certain provisions need to be done. For example, and I know you will agree with some, we're talking about the past 11 years, etc. One of the big problems, Madam Kiska, is that in Parliament, I always felt sometimes I was some sort of more sort of Cosa Nostra type of environment. In other words, you have people that seek seats at the Parliament just to have immunity. You understand? So there needs to be constitutional provision preventing from that, etc. There are other things that we can agree on. Now, I do understand that in such a polarized a moment, we're not going to be able maybe to adopt a new constitution, but at least we can agree on a strict minimum. And once we have that, I think that we can seriously think about going to elections. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna get back to constitutional track when we have legitimate leaders, elected people. And this should be something that we always have in mind. And that's very important. I think that I've pretty much answered or tried to answer some of the questions. Maybe, okay, I think so. Political, yeah. Oh yes, I will give it to you. I agree. I might. I think it might be a little bit too pretentious to put the nationalist adjective on the tendency. So I take it back. You are totally right, because no one has the label, the monopole, the monopole of thinking, and I might come across even arrogant by doing so. So you're right. Thank you for I take it back. That's a very good point. So I think that's, we can go to other questions.
My name is Fred Simon. In the Haitian community, they call me Jean-Jacques. Sitting there and listening to everything everybody has to say, my opinion as a businessman, somebody in contact with really the mainstream, is the fact that we Haitians have to solve the problem of Haiti. We are sick and tired of Washington and Canada and all the other countries interfering in our business. You cannot be elected president unless Washington wants you to be president. How do we end up getting somebody like Martelly as president of Haiti? How do we end up getting all the folks? I mean, when I look at our year, I feel offended as a Haitian. Why do we get all the uneducated, all the corrupted, and the diaspora, over 4 million Haitians out of Haiti? Economically, we can sustain ourselves. Why can't we do it? Just like you said, are we so dumb that we can't even take care of our own business to make our country just like everybody else's country? I have traveled almost the world. I came here, I was 10 years old, and I knew I was going to make it because with hard work and education. Every Haitian child deserves to have a chance to survive, but they are not giving us the chance. One group wants everything for themselves. Every day, it's a different problem. When you look at the amount of money that we spend to really take care of our folks in Haiti, without the diaspora, Haiti would have been down the drain. But does Mr. Biden understand that? Now, first of all, let me tell you this. I'm a stone Democrat. Because there is no way somebody like me would vote for Trump. But we also, but I also make the Haitian diaspora responsible for a lot of things. It's time that we let the world know that we are there. Unless we have a movement that's going to shake the world, nothing is going to change. Because let me tell you this. Jerry Tardieu can be elected president tomorrow or prime minister. I guarantee you, in less than 6 months, you're going to see the Herald, the New York Post, everything. They're going to start saying things because they don't want him. What they want is people they can tell them what to do. But when you know, like, if you would have somebody like me, I would think I would survive because I would send them to a nice place. That's politics. We deserve a chance. And I am here because of him. Because I think this is the best for Haiti now. Just look at around us. There are people who don't even know how to read and write, and they tell you they are former senators. They are senators. How do you expect the country to progress when you have representatives who are so illiterate? But those are the people who tell you, I mean, you know, who govern the country we all love. And CARICOM, to me, it's a joke. You mean to tell me the Bahamas is offering us 100 policemen to go do what? I think, I'm not saying that to offend anybody, but the Kenya movement, sir, is a joke. It's not going to do it. We have to take our responsibility. And what is sick and tired of everything, let me tell you this. When Duvalier exiled me, I was 10 years old. I had to send my kids, when I got married here, I sent my kids to my mother in Haiti in order for them to learn Creole and know the country and everything. But more or less to tell you, when I went to Haiti, the first place I ended up was in Fort Dimanche. But still, I fought the system. Then everything was good. But you know what? The biggest thing that I have in my hand right now, my kids cannot even go to Haiti now. When they talk about the country they love as a kid, it's kind of sick. You know how many children born here from Haitian parents who are suffering, but you don't hear them. So it's not to sit down and just talk about this, what we're going to do. Okay, now my real question, what we are going to do now with the present crisis we have between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, because that can become the next Palestine and Israel we're going to have. Thank you.
Hello. Dr. I would just like to say thank you to the speakers that are here present today. My name is Ibiza. I apologize for coming in late as well. Much earlier, you said that the Haitian people are rats looking for cheese. I believe that the people are desperate. You guys have been fighting since forever. You have been used, abused. There have been power displacements for years. And the people are tired. As our speakers have said previously by almost everyone speaking up, there's no trust within the government. There's no trust within the community. The community no longer wants to participate actively. I mean, you've said it multiple times, the voting process has gone down ridiculously from, I believe you said 90% to 18%. The people are tired. And I have two questions for you today. One helped by my friend Melanie. So first, I have a question about the deployment of the mission by the UN. Do you see this helping Haiti long-term or short-term? Haiti has had gang violence disrupting the community for years. Mothers are afraid to let their kids out. Is this mission where we are helping the police, where there's distrust with the police, is this going to be a good situation, or is it just going to be a failed endeavor again? And the second question is, how can civic engagement be promoted in order to rebuild trust between the public and the government? The people need to be active in the community. There is no communication between the people and those that are in government. And again, I would like to say thank you for coming out today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Regine Williams, born and raised in New Orleans, and I've had the pleasure of living, working, having my children in Haiti for the past 13 years. And unfortunately, I had to flee. Jerry, we've been in touch over the past few years. And, you know, a common topic of discussion is diaspora integration. And as we're looking at this, the political stalemate that's been happening, there have been so many great points brought up today. There's one point that I would love for you to touch on, and it is about how the diaspora can finally galvanize its power to do something that's sustainable, not just from here, but also in Haiti. We know the lay of the land is not friendly to professionals. We do not value professionals. But yet, if we're going to change the electoral law and the council and have people go out to vote, once we finally get a grip on this whole security situation, we have so many brains that have left, unfortunately. We still have brains there. And I think we need to still give value to the people that are on the ground fighting the good fight, because they are people fighting the good fight despite the challenges, and they deserve so much recognition for what they're doing. So I would love for you guys to touch on what it would take for Haitian society to finally value these professionals that we desperately need to go back to Haiti, and what can the diaspora finally do? Over the past year, we've done research on so many great interventions that people out here, Haitians, Americans of Haitian descent, have done to respond in moments of crises. But when the crisis is gone, everyone is dispersed. We have to really build something that's sustainable so that everyone out in the diaspora, friends of Haiti, can better galvanize their power, and then in Haiti receive that power so that we can transform the society and transform Haiti to what it can and should be. Would love for you guys to touch on that.
Thank you. We could take one more question and then let Frandley and Jerry respond.
Yes. It's on? Okay. No, first of all, Jerry, I'd like to congratulate you for your last comments. As much as I find Al Yelali abominable, and I cannot believe that he is what he is, the fact that you approach it, emphasis on government structure as opposed to the person, I think that's very sage, very wise. Thank you. Now, this gentleman spoke about an elephant in the room. When he said elephant in the room, I said, oh, somebody else noticed that there's elephant in the room. Actually, there's a few of them, as we've seen in the comments here. My elephant is that, how come the word army never came up in all of the talk here and all of the comments from the panel or from the audience? I forgot your name. You said you think that the Kenyan forces would be a good idea. The Kenyan forces that speak English as opposed to French. So I think there's a communication problem. So far in Africa, okay, we're all from Africa, but completely very different cultures. So that brings me to my comment about how come nobody talked about redoing the army. I don't know who you spoke to about who was the old chief of the police, but André Sol, who was not only in the police, in the army, Ashley Larac, Jean-Aubert Argan, Rebu, they have spoken multiple times about the possibilities of locally. Is there a problem? No, okay, I'll just look this way.
I wanted to reinforce what you do.
Okay, let me finish. You can reinforce afterwards. Thank you.
Another names for Father Noah who's here in Miami.
Okay, I don't know.
They
Yeah.
have a project.
Okay, so these people have publicly said in seminars and the Kiskaya and all of that, that we have the possibility in Haiti with the police and also with the army there. So it's not a matter of money. Of course it's not a matter of money. However, maybe the money would be better invested in an army and the police instead of in the Kenyans who actually want to get to $600 million. I'm almost done. Yeah. So I'd like to know why that hasn't been talked about, getting the army back. And I'm sorry, people disrupted me. I had a third point that you're making me forget. Yeah. Oh, yes. I was a little shocked that you said in the beginning, Professor, that there's so much going on in the world that foreign policy, U.S. foreign policy is not so interested in Haiti, where we have the third largest embassy in the world. I think U.S. is very interested in Haiti. I don't know why. I would love to know why, okay? But I think they are very interested in Haiti. And also the Biden program, which now, before it was 1,000 policemen, now I hear it's 2,500. So you're gonna take English-speaking Kenyans who have no experience about the corridors of Izo and Vitelon to come and help Haitians form Haitians in a foreign language when they themselves, their morale is low and most of them still want to go in the Biden program, which brings me to the point of, I think if the U.S. was really interested in helping Haiti, there would not be a Biden program now, especially accepting policemen in the Biden program, or having the largest embassy, or closing it down and not giving visas to Haiti. I mean, the list is very long. So,
thank you.
Anyway, let's talk Army and government structure. Thank you.
For reasons of time, we have to throw it back now for the final wrap-up. I would encourage you, if there's any pastelitos left or any coffee left, you can carry on the conversation out here. That's very welcome. But Jerry, do you want to respond?
Yes. But there are a few questions out there. Let me try to. So I've seen it friendly, so we'll try to. The George Fauriol, which, we talked about CARICOM, and George Fauriol had a question for me about what's my take about CARICOM. And Monique Lestat touched on this also. I will use a less colorful language than Jean-Jean. I see where he comes from. It's very clear that to him, CARICOM will not, for the lack of a better word, will not succeed in Haiti in what they're trying to do right now. Okay. CARICOM indeed does not have the technical ability to be an efficient facilitator or mediator in the Haitian case. They don't have an office in Haiti, they don't have an ambassador in Haiti, they don't have a contact person in Haiti, their knowledge of the situation is very light, and when they leave Haiti after each mission, it takes them a while to go back to Haiti, even in their mind. So, taken like that, indeed, if we are to count on CARICOM to broker a deal between Haitians, it's not going to happen. I agree with you on that one. However, once we have said that, given the complexity of Haiti's situation, given the fact that the Haitian crisis, la crise haïtienne s'est internationalisée, I think CARICOM, of which we are a member of, can help in the process. They cannot be the main entity, but they can support the process. The eminent person group can support the process in the sense that they can bring their weight to the table. And this allows us also to be more at ease in a discussion where those countries were sister countries. We have suffered the same harm of history. We are sister nations. We come from the same place. Our alma mater is in Africa. So there is that cultural similarity that makes it a little bit better for us in terms of it is better to have a brother allowing us to sit and talk than maybe a foreigner that doesn't look like us. I'm just saying this like that. But just to tell you that at one point, once the Haitians would have agreed on a roadmap, CARICOM can step in as a second step, and they can be part of the process by being the witness of an agreement signed and found by Haitians. So in that sense, I think we need them, because whatever we're going to sign as political stakeholders, there will have to be people who say, these people have sat down, discussed and agreed on X, Y, and Z. We will make sure it happens. So that's my take on CARICOM. The Haiti and the Dominican Republic issue. Yes, it's an important one, Mr. Saint-Amand, and I commend you for asking the questions, in the sense that for the young students present here who might not be familiar with the issue, so there is a dispute between Haiti and the Dominican Republic because there is a river that flows on the border. It flows in Haiti and in the Dominican Republic. And there is the construction of a canal which the Dominicans are claiming to be constructed in not in the good technical terms, and that are exposing the environment. At the end of the day, the president of the Dominican Republic reacted very excessively, shut down the borders, took sanctions, and basically gathered military on the border, which has had only one effect, is to galvanize the Haitian population, including the one on the border, who felt totally threatened by the Dominican forces while the canal was being built within Haiti's territory. First of all, Haiti is within its right. We need to understand that. We have not broken any rules. The Dominicans have done it 11 times, and Haiti has the right to use this resource in order for our farmers and peasants to have water for their production. One of our objectives in the future is to be able to restore national production, including agricultural production. So the first element is water. And the reason why this is causing all of this problem is because indeed we need the water. The people need the water. The peasants need the water. The farmers need the water. I've been there. I've talked to them. I've seen them. They need it badly. Lives of people and families depend on it. Now, let's be very clear. There is an election next year in the Dominican Republic. So this excessive position by the Dominican president is probably no stranger to this fact. And for those who are asking when we will find a solution, there will be no solution before next elections in the Dominican Republic. Things are going to be the way they are right now until there is a new elected president in the Dominican Republic. Even if it's the same. And it might change position, attitude, and posture. Just like it's not going to be easy to find a solution between Palestine and Israel, just like it's not going to be easy to find a solution short-term between Russia and Ukraine. It is going to be very difficult for the next month for us to see a solution between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So that's what I would say for the Dominican Republic. Another question, say Ibiza and Melanie, right? Yes. Deployment by the UN, will it help? Essentially, that's the first question, right?
I can reiterate.
Go ahead.
1 second.
Meanwhile, okay. So, while you found it?
Yes, so it was deployment of this mission by the UN with the Kenyan forces. Do you see this helping Haiti long-term or short-term, since they are working with the nation?
Well, first of all, you need to understand that it's not a UN mission. Okay? It's a multilateral mission that has received from the United Nations a seal of approval by resolution of the United Nations. So it's not a UN mission. And this is very important because people tend to forget that. This is not a UN mission. This doesn't fall into this provision of the Chapter 7, which makes it a UN mission, just like we have in Africa. And this is maybe the difficulty of the exercise also, because UN missions are trained to do certain things while we don't know what's coming. So that's why I've always insisted that for this mission to be successful, it cannot be done prepared in the opacity. It has to open up to Haitian actors, civil society, and those people who understand the terrain. For this mission to be successful also, we are going to have a political agreement so that this mission is not called by a government that does not have the legitimacy to do so. All of this is important. At the end of the day, what I know and what Frandley says is that it's going to be very difficult for us to go it alone. We can discuss this 1,000 times. But at the end of the day, the Haitian police right there, I mean, we cannot accept that 3,000 outlaws put 12 million people on their knees. We just cannot accept that. We're going to have to find a way to take care of that. And for the moment, the police is obviously not able to. Some people say not willing to. But most importantly, it's very passive and it's unacceptable. So we have to act. But in order for whatever mission in Haiti to succeed, Haitians have to appropriate themselves of the mission and participate in the terms of reference. I will stop there and give you the floor. Regine, for Regine, I mean, you want to?
Yeah.
You will answer and then I'll say a few words.
But she had another question about civic engagement, right? You had a question about civic engagement, right? Well, you're a student here?
I am.
What is your major?
I'm studying history.
History? Okay, you'll get it. Because, no, seriously, because this is a question I think students from the humanities will understand a little bit better. To understand what's happening in Haiti, we need to touch on political philosophy, right? So in 1804, Haiti became independent. You have your first government. So with a government and the foundation of a nation, you have a social contract. For example, if you're driving around and a police officer stops you, you're gonna stop, right? But if I stop you, you're not gonna stop. Why do you stop when it's the officer? Is because it's part of the deal that you have with the state. You have relinquished your natural rights, which is basically I do whatever I want. In return, the government, the state, gives you protection from one another. So what you have in Haiti is that in 1804, people who could have lived in the state of nature, they decided to form a nation. And for more than 200 years, the nation has only worked for very few people. So at some point, these people, they looked around, the masses, and the middle class to a certain extent. They looked around, they said, I don't get it. Why did I relinquish my natural rights In return, I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting protection from the state. I'm not getting anything. So they want out of the contract. And this is what you have in Haiti. So you cannot preach civic engagement to these people because they're not getting anything by being civic. You see what I mean? The second aspect of it has to do with social mobility. There's no social mobility in Haiti. The social elevator has been broken for more than 200 years. So you go to school, you have a profession, you're gonna die broke. The only two factors of social mobility in Haiti today are government and drugs. And it has reached such a level today that even the private sector, if the government is your main client, you're not making money. So before we can talk civic engagement, we need to reshuffle the system, make it a level playing field. People will start recognizing themselves in the system. But until then, it's going to be very difficult to discuss civic engagement in Haiti.
The Army, hello, it's still the White House. I mean, really, I can't believe this. I want to hear about the Army.
Okay, there is a regime. Yeah. So, Eugene, what I would like to say, more than a question, I've listened to you with pleasure, as usual. You've used the right word. The only thing I would say that you said in your intervention, I'm one of those who fled. You did not flee. You're here for Haiti, not for me. You're here because physically you're in Miami, but your heart is in Haiti. You're here because you want to stay engaged. That's why you asked me a question about the diaspora. You have something in your mind. And with the magic of the new technologies of information and communication, this will allow you to keep on working for Haiti. And I do know that you're one of those young women who one day will definitely serve at the highest level. That's our wish for Haiti. So I can only say one thing. What you said was right, and I commend you for staying engaged. And don't think that you fled. You are in Haiti because your heart and your soul is still there. So that's yes, please.
Yeah,
and then
quickly, I'll add something to that. Diaspora engagement. I think we need to start with an internal conversation within the diaspora because we have a lot of shortcomings. We have in the diaspora a lot of individual successes, but we don't have collective intelligence. Okay? So the participation of the diaspora in the development of the motherland has become a science. It's called transnationalism. You have countries like Korea, other countries, Israel, for example, has mastered that. But in our community, those who have access to political power, they are trying to influence U.S. policy here instead of influencing U.S. policy toward Haiti. If you go to Little Haiti, our largest supermarket is owned by the Dominicans. If you go to Brooklyn, it is owned by the Pakistanis. Okay? So I think at this point in the diaspora, we need to be conscious of our shortcomings, have an internal conversation before we can go to Haiti to do anything. Because I think we have a lot to do here to talk, to really redefine ourselves before we can be effective in Haiti. Because I think to a certain level, we're not that different than the people in Haiti.
I have to end it here. I'd like to thank Jerry.
Just 30 seconds. We have not talked about the Army because, the subject here was a little bit different. However, what I can tell you is that Haiti was born with its army. So the subject of the army is too important for us just to to touch it as a fly-by-wing. This is something that would require that we sit down and see how we deal with security in Haiti, technically speaking and politically
With
speaking.
an army, that was my question.
Well, obviously there will have to be an army, but what kind of army do you want? That's the question that we're going to have to answer to in the near future, because there are different types of army, and we have a proposal, we have a vision of the type of army we need. A specialty army that will help us to defend ourselves and attack the threats that are now facing Haiti. So you're cutting me, we will have that conversation after in the hallway.
For purposes of the recording, we have to end here. I want to thank Deputy Tardieu, Frandley, George Fauriol, Island TV, Jack Jordan, Alan Smith, Kate Cargo, all of you for coming today. Thanks very much. We can continue the conversation in the reception. Thank you.
Yes.